The original Nintendo Switch was released on March 3, 2017. That means this console is now 9 years old. Since then, we've gotten more powerful consoles, faster hardware, and now even the Nintendo Switch 2. Yet, despite all of that, I still find myself picking up my original Nintendo Switch. So, after years of ownership, I wanted to answer one simple question. Is the Nintendo Switch still worth it? I'm not someone who owns dozens of Nintendo Switch games. In fact, I only own 6: Monster Hunter Rise, NBA 2K22, Animal Crossing New Horizons, Hatsune Miku Project Diva, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and Big Brain Academy. It may not be the biggest collection, but these are the games I have spent the most time with over the years. And honestly, they've been enough to keep me coming back to the system. One thing I don't think people talk about enough is the number of free games available on the Nintendo eShop. If you're buying a Switch on a budget, you don't necessarily need to spend a lot of money right away. Games like Fortnite are completely free to play. Pokemon Unite is another popular option. And there are plenty of other free games available if you're willing to explore the eShop. While they may not replace Nintendo's biggest exclusives, they add a lot of value to the console and make it easier for new owners to get started. The biggest strength of Nintendo Switch is still portability. I can play on my TV, I can play in handheld mode, and I can easily bring it with me when traveling. Even in 2026, that flexibility still feels unique. The games are ultimately what keep me using this system. Whether it's relaxing in Animal Crossing, exploring adventure tasks in Monster Hunter Rise, playing a quick match in Smash Bros, or enjoying a rhythm game session in Project Diva, the library still holds up surprisingly well. I also have to give Nintendo credit for durability. This console is now 9 years old. Despite years of use, it's still working. The battery isn't perfect anymore, but the system itself has held up better than I expected. For the game recordings, I recorded all of the gameplay using a pretty simple setup. I use a TV, an HDMI splitter, a budget capture card, and my laptop. It's definitely not the most professional setup in the world, but it gets the job done. If you'd like a tutorial on how I record Nintendo Switch gameplay using this setup, let me know in the comments below. My biggest problem with the Nintendo Switch isn't the graphics, the battery life, or even the age of the hardware. It's the Joy-Cons. Over the years, I've started having connection issues with them. Sometimes they disconnect unexpectedly and sometimes I have to reconnect them before they started working properly again. Because of that, I actually use a separate controller most of the time when I'm playing in the dock mode. It's not a deal breaker and it doesn't stop me from enjoying the system. But it's definitely the most frustrating issue I've experienced about owning the Switch for so long. The good news is that the console itself still works well. The problem has mostly been with the Joy-Cons, rather than the system as a whole. The other downside is simply age. 9 years is a long time in technology. The hardware isn't as fast as modern systems. Some games take longer to load, and compared to newer consoles, you can definitely feel that the Switch is getting older. Of course, being a 9-year-old console, the Nintendo Switch is definitely starting to show its age graphically. Games still look decent, especially Nintendo's first-party titles, but some third-party games don't look nearly as sharp as their counterparts on the other system. NBA 2K22, for example, is perfectly playable, but after seeing how it looks on the PS4, the Switch version feels noticeably downgraded. Doesn't ruin the experience, and honestly, I stopped caring after a few games. But let's just say playing NBA 2K22 on the Switch after the PS4 is like going from courtside seats to watching the game from the parking lot. So, is the Nintendo Switch still worth it in 2026? If you're looking for the newest technology and the best graphics possible, probably not. But if you're looking for a flexible console with a strong game library, portable gaming, and years of proven reliability, then I think the answer is yes. Even after 9 years, I still find myself playing it. And honestly, that's probably the best compliment I can give it. The Nintendo Switch may be old, but for the right person, it's still worth buying in 2026. Thank you for watching this video. What games are you still playing on your Nintendo Switch? Let me know in the comments below.